Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So, I got a little announcement before we get into our video here. Basically, going forward, I'm going to take all of the videos that have to do with things like movie reviews or toy reviews, stuff like that, and I'm going to move them over to my sister channel, which is UCD Videos. It's basically a channel that I've had for a little while where I do game reviews. I look at, weird, obscure video game hardware, that kind of thing. And, that channel is going to become more of an all-encompassing review channel. Review movies and review anime and toys and etc., etc. And this channel will be more like, politics, right? Because that seems to be what the people want. So you may be noticing that I'm not wearing the sunglasses right now, and it's because I got one of these like ring light things that is supposed to like light your face up, all like evenly and stuff. And what happens when you put the sunglasses on is that you get this like massively huge reflection right in the middle, right? So you kind of see that, it just looks, I don't know, it looks silly, I think, it looks like there's eyeballs in the glasses. Right, I don't know, actually, maybe that's kind of cool. Maybe I might keep that. One of these. Nah, I don't know. It looks stupid, so, yeah, we're just not going to do that today, whatever, right? Now you get to see my face and shit. I don't know, maybe if I could figure out how to do it without getting that reflection, I might go back to wearing the sunglasses. But the reason why I wear those anyway is because I'm usually reading this stuff. You may notice that I don't like it when my eyes are like pointing down and, and off to the side and whatever, but whatever, so, live with it. There's a little phone right underneath the thing here that I'm like, reading off of, so if it looks like that's what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing, right? Sue me. Anyway, let's move on. So our first comment is from a guy named Woodney, right? And this was on my video where I talked about Donald Trump's plan to dump undocumented immigrants in sanctuary cities, possibly illegally, right? So this is what he's got to say. Woodney, 626, dude, Google Sharia Courts UK. Oh, and while you're there also, Beth Den, they have the same power as a county court, different to a magistrate or crown court, but still legally binding and operating. So first off, I don't know why this guy's talking about, Sharia law, and when it comes to like, Latino immigrants. I don't think this guy understands that these are two different types of people. I think he just is just lumping all immigrants together, right? And it's just like into one huge thing, but whatever. But basically, this is a good example of how people who believe in conspiracy theories tend to cherry pick evidence that fit their narrative. Because basically the very first result for a Google of Sharia Courts UK disproves what this guy's saying. All right. Now, if you don't know, if you've never heard of this, Sharia courts, they're basically religious courts where people can go as an alternative to the secular authorities, right? You can kind of think of them like similar to like a Catholic tribunal, something like that. But in the UK and pretty much everywhere else in the Western world, they have no force of law behind them. Any decisions they make are not legally binding. And people tend to go there for things like, divorces, right? To get a marriage annulled, to settle a minor dispute with their neighbor. And they don't want to get the, they don't want to get the authorities involved for whatever reason. They can't afford lawyers, something like that, right? Marriage counseling. Basically, that's what this is, right? A dispute between a husband and a wife that doesn't rise to the level of a divorce. Okay, or a dispute between like members of a family, that kind of thing. They're not legally binding, right? It's completely 100% voluntary. Okay, they're not on every street corner, right? They can't make proclamations that have the force of law behind them. It's complete and total BS. And courts like this have been around for decades. Religious courts. There's some in like there's like Jewish religious courts and there's Christian religious courts, and and this has been a thing for forever. right? And really these people are only really afraid of it because they're, you know, Muslim, you know. I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's bullshit that you read in the Daily Mail, you know, that you, typical fear-mongering about, like, immigrants and stuff. And it's like, just, man, just take your own fucking advice and do some Googles, right? Because the whole thing's fucking silly. I got another one here. This is from a guy named ADL, which apparently stands for Anti-Degenerate League, right? And this video is on a video I made about incels and the word roastie, okay? Which, you know, check it out if you want. I'll put the link in the thing. And let's see what he's got to say. Okay, guy, go ahead and lecture people on life while you have what seems to be a seemingly endless line of children's toys behind you. How about instead of spewing stupid shit, you go and get rid of your little consumerist idols behind you, shave that beard, and if you want to talk about adult things, start acting like an adult, you filthy, obnoxious man-child. Yeah, okay, man-child. Wow. So, number one, I don't have a beard, although, to be fair, in that video, I think I did. But no, I don't have a beard. The main reason why I had the beard was because I had this massively ugly double chin. And, you know, it's still kind of there, but I've been working out. I joined a gym, you know. And, you know, all of this stuff behind me is stuff that I like. Okay. Now, as far as me being, you know, a loser or whatever, I guess that's all up to interpretation. I mean, I do own a condo, and I have 2 cars and a decent 401k. And, you know, enough disposable income that I can afford shit like this. Right? Because, you know, some of the stuff is actually kind of expensive. There's no doubt you've noticed back here. Right? I mean, I think I'm doing pretty good for myself. You know, I mean, fuck. I've managed to remain employed for the last 25 years. Right? And, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, loser. Maybe I'm not rich, but I'm definitely not a fucking loser. But whatever. I just think that it's like, you know, funny coming from a guy who's posting on a video about incels. Calling somebody else an overgrown man-child. It's like, why were you even on that video in the first place, right? You know, and by the way, man, all the anti-gay stuff is probably why women don't like you. Just a little hint, you know, that's a free one from me to you. Okay, moving on, back to immigrants. This one comes from Boyce T. The only immigrants I want in the USA are those of any color or creed who seek to become citizens by following our immigration laws and, in the process, become Americans in every sense of the word. They can bring their religion, but they cannot use their religion to break our laws and establish pockets of political opposition as the Muslim hordes have done in Michigan. And since we now have sanctuary cities established by mayors whose eyeballs are apparently lodged in their rectums, why not load them up with immigrants so they can get an advanced taste of the results that open lawless immigration will do to our entire country? Hell, I think the lawless mayors should be required to take the first 24 immigrants they admit into their own homes to live at no charge to the immigrants. First off, it's a misconception, right, that people come here and just get everything for free. Okay, this is the kind of shit that you hear on, you know, things like, townhall.com or whatever, you know, the stereotype is that they're all coming here to get, you know, free healthcare and free education and an Obama phone or whatever. And it's simply not true, okay? I mean, if that was their motive, if that was anybody's motive, was to come to a country in order to get free shit, there's way more better countries out there that you can get way better social services than in the United States, okay? We don't even have socialized medicine in the United States, for crying out loud. All right? I mean, if that was your motive, was to live off of the state, you'd be much better off going to, like, you know, Germany, Switzerland, the Netherlands, right? Denmark, something like that. Someplace with socialized medicine, with free college, right? Some of those places are even like experimenting with universal basic income, right? We don't have any of that shit here, right? In the United States, you don't get jack shit. Even in a liberal blue state like California, you can't live off fucking welfare in California. It's bullshit, and it's basically, it's a total like stereotype. It's a misconception, right? And if you believe that, you're a fucking idiot. Secondly, the mayors of sanctuary cities seem to like this idea. You know, like, why do you think that New York or San Francisco or Chicago became sanctuary cities in the first place, right? It's because the people that live in those cities support that idea. Okay, in fact, I'm going to put a little link to another thing that I found where all of the mayors were basically down for they were down for it. You know, like Trump was threatening to dump these people in their cities, and like one mayor after another was like, yeah, bring them, we want them, you know, bring us, you're tired and you're poor and you're hungry, right? Because that's what America used to be all about. All right, now here's the thing with this, right? Because what this guy is describing is, you know, extremely petty and potentially against the law, although I'm not exactly sure, but I think it very well may be, right? Because all persons in the country, if their citizens or not, are entitled to equal protection under the law, right? All the people in this country, you know, if you're here illegally, if you're here, if you're an undocumented person, if you're here, you know, trying to get asylum or whatever, you're entitled to a hearing, okay? With, you know, you're entitled to mount a defense for yourself if you're going to be deported. You're entitled to, if you're on American soil, and you're trying to get, you know, you're trying to get asylum, you're entitled to that hearing. They can't just dump you in a train car and throw you over the border someplace without that hearing. All right, that's what the law says. That's the Constitution right there, okay? Now, potentially just like dumping them all in a city without, you know, giving them their due process like this, you know, that is against the law, right? And it's just funny because, like, you know, this is like coming from the law and order people, you know, Republicans and shit, right? Conservatives, you guys are supposed to be for, you know, law and order, right? And it's just really like telling that, you know, when it comes to a law you don't like, you're all too willing to just break it, right? And just stand by and not do shit when it gets broken, just to pwn the fucking libs, I guess, right? See, all Sanctuary City is a city that, through its official policy, limits cooperation with federal immigration authorities, right? And what they do is that they basically don't give information, right? So when it comes to, like, people who are just, like, here illegally but are leading normal, ordinary lives, you know, are otherwise very law-abiding and so on, those people, they don't go after them. But they do hand over information on violent criminals who happen to be illegal immigrants as well, right? Contrary to what your typical Trump supporter believes, you know, the federal government can't just come in and do whatever the hell it feels like, all right? They can't just come in and, like, take over any investigation or, like, commandeer any resources they want, or force local police to, like, you know, obey them and shit like that. You know, they can't do that. That's movies. You see that shit in movies and in TV shows and all that stuff. That's fantasy, right? In real life, you know, there's very, you know, they have to follow the letter of the law, right? The law says, right, that, you know, a city doesn't have to cooperate in these certain respects. You know, if a cop pulls over, for example, an illegal, you know, an undocumented person, an illegal alien, and they're driving, right, and they haven't broken any laws, and their only thing that's wrong is that they're an undocumented person, right, they don't have to arrest them. Okay, they don't. That's because the law says that's, you know, a civil violation, you know, that the federal authorities should be handling. Right. That's what, you know, that's what it is. It's not something for your local city government to be prosecuting. It's something for the federal government to be prosecuting. Right. And that's basically all that sanctuary cities are doing. You know, they're following the letter of the law. Right. So I just think, you know, once again, you guys are looking the other way, right? When Donald Trump is potentially breaking those laws, you know, by not giving these people the due process. And it's just like, you know, quit being a fucking giant hypocrite about it, right? And it's just the pettiness of that, you know, it's just so fucking petty, you know, like, I don't know. Anyway, moving on here. One last comment here by a guy named Straight Razor, which is also on the same video as well. We're sending them to California. How you like that? You want them, you're getting them. We're tired of them being dumped in our state. You can have some of your state. Democrats are going down. Child molesters, Satanists. You're a bunch of freaks and you're going to be arrested and you're going to hell. Ha ha ha. Gitmo. So when I read this one, my first reaction was, what the fuck is this crazy person talking about? Okay, and it took, you know, a little bit to kind of interpret, right, that comment. And I think what this guy was referencing was Pizzagate, you know, with that last sentence there, calling me a Satanist and shit. So, for those of you who don't know, if you don't remember that, you know, if you purposely avoid this internet shit, which you should, if you want to remain sane nowadays, Pizzagate was a very ridiculous bullshit conspiracy theory where Hillary Clinton and John Podesta and a bunch of other DNC high-ranking type people were supposedly kidnapping children from Haiti and, you know, that kind of thing, and eating them. You know, there was like Hillary Clinton was the head of this ring of, you know, pedophile cannibals who were like doing satanic rituals. They call it spirit cooking and all that kind of thing, right? And, you know, it kind of built up right around the 2016 election with all these fucking, like, idiotic, you know, right-wing nincompoops who are just sitting around obsessing over videos of Hillary, like, you know, slurring her words or fluttering her eyelashes too much or stumbling or something, and then, like, saying that that was, like, evidence that she had fucking mad cow disease or something because she was, like, eating people's brains or whatever, right? Complete fucking total bullshit, you know, and the whole thing came to a head when a guy went into this pizza shop in Washington, D.C., where all the DNC people got their pizza from, with a fucking gun, right, and shot off around in the air and demanded to see the basement to the place, which the place didn't fucking have a basement, right? I mean, this guy could have killed somebody, right? A dude went into this pizza shop with a gun because he thought that they were kidnapping and eating children there, okay? Just think about that shit for a second, all right? You know, I mean, because, you know, this sounds like your typical Alex Jones paranoid nut conspiracy theory bullshit, but people are acting on this stuff, all right? Now, you know, it's scary, all right? I mean, think about it, okay? This was on my Sanctuary Cities video, okay? That video is about how the President of the United States has a proposal which will potentially deny undocumented immigrants their due process rights by dumping them in sanctuary cities in an effort to punish those cities. Okay. Now, you know, besides the fact that it's just really incredibly childish and partisan, that's also potentially illegal, depending on which, you know, parts of the law they choose to just not, you know, they choose to just not enact, you know. Are they going to skip their hearings? Are they going to skip their trials, you know? Are they just going to load them in a bunch of fucking train cars and ship them out? It's like, you can't fucking do that, right? And that's what that video is about. And this person commenting on my video is so fucking far gone that, you know, he's wishing death and an eternity in the fiery pits of hell for me for speaking out against Donald Trump, you know. Like, when the fuck did Donald Trump take the place of Jesus for these people? Like, that's how he's basically treating Trump like Jesus, is what this guy's fucking doing, right? He's the president. He's not a fucking messiah, okay? Oh, God, I don't know. That's what we're up against, man. Half the fucking country is, again, they're out of their fucking minds, you know? I mean, I really do think that if things continue to go bad for Trump, you know, like, let's say, for example, you know, they eventually, I don't know, impeach him or something, right? By some miracle, the Democrats, you know, grow a spine and decide that they're going to impeach him. And by some other miracle, they manage to get 5 Republicans to go along with it, and they actually convict, and he's removed from office. I really think these people are going to, like, start getting violent if that happens. You know, you're going to start seeing random shootings, right? And bombings and kidnappings and that kind of thing. And I even think at this point, right, that this will happen even if Trump just loses the next election, the 2020 election, you know, normally. if he just blows it and like Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden or somebody becomes president. You know, to a guy like this, to a guy like, you know, this fucking Pizzagate guy who sees a conspiracy behind every fucking corner, right? He's gonna think that the lizard people came down and like, you know, manipulated the news and shit in order to make fucking Trump lose, you know? And this dude's gonna be up in a hotel room in Las Vegas somewhere fucking shooting out the window at people, right? Probably at a Jewish daycare center or something, you know? That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. So I don't know, man. The whole fucking country is just nuts. You know, how are you supposed to have a rational discussion with a guy like that? I don't know. Answer me, folks. How are we gonna do it? What's our other alternative? Just sit back and just do nothing and let the conservatives run the whole fucking world into the ground, right? I don't know. Anyway, folks, I wish I had answers, but I don't. And it's late at night, so I'm out of here. Adios.